Hi guys, my name is Umang. Today we will be doing some basic SQL queries. For this SQL queries, you will be needing two things. First, you will need the data. To download the data, I have listed a URL in the description and you can download the data from the URL. Second, you will be needing an IDE or a software to write the SQL queries. Now, I've also listed one of the video from where you can get to know how to download the SSMS which I would be using for this video. Finally, for this video, I have written the questions in green and I would be writing the queries. Once I finish the queries, then I will give you an explanation how I did these queries and what the results look like. So let's get started. The first one is create a histogram of amount and the size of the bin should be 250. Now we first need to see all the columns we have in our table. After downloading the data, you should have these tables. Now we will take table transaction. As you can see, there is a column of amount and we need to create a histogram of amount. The result is here. We have a histogram from, let's say, 1,000 to 750. There are 578 employees and so on. What I have done is I have selected the column amount from table transaction, right? And what I have done is I have divided this amount by 250. For example, let's say the amount is 525, right? I will write here as a comment 525. If we divide 525 by 250, we will get approximately 2.1, right? And once we get 2.1, we use the floor. What floor will do? If we do floor of 2.1, we'll get just this value, which is the numeric value. So this would equal to, the floor will give us the answer of 2, right? And once we have the 2, then we have multiplied by 250. We multiplied by 250, which will be 500, and this will be our F, right? This F is this one, right? Now what this is doing is, in histogram we have a range which we also called a bin. So according to the question, the bin should be of size of 250. Now if the bin size is 250, then there should be a higher value and a lower value. So this 500 is our lower value. To make the same for the upper part, to make the range of the top part, the bigger part, what we have done is we have just added 250 to this range, right? So if here the amount was, let's say, 700, then also it will come into this bin of 500 to 750, right? Next, what we have done is we have added a filter that there should not be an amount of null, and we have named this table as A, and then we have selected the column F and C plus the count of all the records and called them as number of employees. Now as we have all these three columns which will create the histogram for us, lastly we have done a group by with F and C column and order by 1. Here the order by 1 means the column number, so order by 1 means make the order by column F, right? So this is our answer. Now let's go on to the second part. So before I do the second one, I also want to tell you that if you want to do these queries by yourself, you can pause the video right now and do the question by yourself. Now the second one is calculate the sum of amount by each month, also show the year of the month. So what we will do, we will simply So for the question number 2, what we are doing is we have selected the month of, using the month function, we have selected the month of date of transaction and we have called it as month date. Then we have selected the year of the date of transaction as called it as year date. Finally, we have done a sum of amount, right? And we got this data from table transaction where we have added the filter where amount, it should not be null, right? It should not be empty or it should not be null. Finally, we have grouped everything by month of the date of transaction, year of the date of transaction. So the amount will show by the month of the transaction. And then we have ordered by year. So first will be the year in descending order and then it would be the month, right, in the descending order. So this is the answer. The third question is calculate the average amount by each month and year. Now when we have to calculate the average amount by each month and year, we will be using partition by. So what we will do is here is the answer for our question number 3. Now what we are doing is that we are selecting the month of the date of transaction and the year of date of transaction. Then we are doing average of amount and we have grouped by month and year, right? Finally, we are doing the average of amount over the partition by year and we are getting this data from table transaction where amount is not null. Now to explain this over partition by year, what I will tell you is that in simple word what happened is that we have done an average of amount, but we have fixed that you have to find the average of amount by year of date of transaction, right? Ignore the other columns and just do the average of amount by the year of the date, right? That is why if you see that for all the 2014, the average of amount is same. Now there is one more very important topic which I would like to tell you so that your understanding of partition by is very clear. Now for example, let's say we remove the group by and here we add average of amount and we also do, let's say, average of amount here by year, and then we run. Hopefully this will give us an error, but to remove this error we will also do that. Here we want to add the same partition by, but here we want to do it by month, right? Now this time what happened is that, as you can see, we have all the records which we have in the table, which is like around 5,000 records, but the query has done it like for the average amount by year. For every 2014 the average amount will remain same, right? Because we fixed it, right? Partition by means that whatever you calculate here is fixed by the date of transactions, and whenever we are using this partition by again, it will recalculate the sum of amount. What I mean by that is that here it is doing by year and here it will do by month, but if I had the group by, then it will only do by that granularity or that level, right? So for example here, for the month, which is the 1, the average amount will remain same, but when the month change, the average amount will change. Similarly, when the year will change, the average amount of year will change. So I will call these columns as yearly average amount and I will call it as monthly average amount, right? But as you can see, or you must have noticed, that there are so many rows. We do not need all these rows, right? Therefore we use the group by function, right? So what we have done is we group by the whole table, right? We decrease the number of rows and we grouped it by, we create a new level of detail, and this is kind of an hierarchy. We call it like we have a month, we have year, and by this month and year calculate the other measures, right, which is the amount. So when we are doing this, we already have month here, therefore we do not need this one. We are already calculating average amount by month, right? Month and year, yes. And let's say if I remove this average amount here, if I remove the partition by here, this will again become as the monthly average amount, and therefore we need to add here partition by year of the transaction. So it is fixed that this average amount will be calculated by year of the transaction. I forgot to add the average. So the fund of average is that the whole year, which is the 2014 year, this year, we are just calculating, this is the average, right? This is the average amount, and to aggregate it by year and by month, what we have done is we have added another average. So we are telling SQL do the average of amount and then aggregate it by month and year. Simple. If you have yes, I hope so this topic is clear. Let's move to the next one. So next one is very straightforward. All we have to do is we have to get the data from table department. First we will get all the data from table department. So this was very straightforward. What we have done is we have used this function which is called row number. Row number gives us a new column with the number of rows. All we have to do is tell him that calculate the number of rows by department or maybe by any other column. Last question is split the government ID into 3 parts, create new column and share report by employee number. To do this, we will need our employee table. Now we have the employee ID and we have to split into 3 parts. Clearly we can see the first 2 letters of this string or word are letters, characters, and then we have numbers, and then at the end we have the character. So we will split it by character, number and character, and we have to create new columns and then share the report. To do so, let's get started. So this is the answer of the 5th question. What we have done is we have selected and used the right function of the SQL, which will select the rightmost letter of the employee government ID. We have called this column as last digit. Then we have taken the left employee government ID's 2 digits, which here will be AB, and call them as first 2 digit. Lastly, we have used the SQL function of substring, which will select any letter starting from 3rd to 6th position. So 3rd is 1 and the last position is 6, and it will give us everything which is in the middle. Finally, we have selected the column employee government ID and employee number from the table employee. So these are the 5 queries. I hope so you guys have enjoyed it. Please subscribe for more.